Today we are working on a DIY paper crafting project. This is a mixed media home decor art piece. And this is also a design team project featuring product from Reneabouquets.com. If you're new to my channel, my name is Linda and I love to feature all sorts of DIY home decor and craft projects, so go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any further craft projects from my channel, Chick777's DIY by Design. Now let's get started. So what I'm working with here, I'm going to be prepping my paper with this clear gesso, and basically this gesso kind of prepares your surface for painting and mixed media product, and what it does is it gets it ready to accept that mixed media product. Without gesso, all these types of paints and mediums and things like that would just kind of soak into your paper or soak into your canvas. And I'm simply just spreading it on. There's different ways you can spread it on with a foam brush, a paint brush. Here I'm just using a palette knife, and that texture, as you can see here, just dries all nice and clear from its initial milky appearance. And I'm adding now a little more texture to my paper edge by using the open end of my scissors and scraping it along the edges. And what we're going to do now is I have all these different sprays in my stash. They're color sprays, basically mixed with like mica and water. They're really vibrant, and basically I'm just taking the nozzle out of each bottle and then I'm tapping the edge with my paintbrush so that I get tiny little splatters all over my paper versus just actually spraying it from the nozzle, which would give you this really wide, range of spray. And I just want tiny little splatters. And the colors I'm using here are going to correspond with the colors on my project. And now I'm going to add a little more texture with two different stamping pads here and some VersaFine pigment ink, which is a fast drying pigment ink. And I'm using like a script stamp and just a regular typeface stamp. And what I'm going to come in here now is with this 3D matte gel and these Reneabouquet no-hole micro beads in black and a stencil. I believe this is just called a grid stencil. It's from my stash. And this 3D matte gel is basically like an adhesive. Okay, and so I'm just going to put it through my stencil here, and then I'm going to pour on those micro beads, and they are like tiny micro beads. And it's really cool once it dries. That adhesive dries totally clear, totally matte, and then what you see left is that really cool tiny bead texture. So I'm taking white chalk paint by Waverly and then this oyster white chalk paint, and I mixed them together to make a little bit more creamy. This sign I purchased from Hobby Lobby, and this is going to be the base of my project today. I got two of them. One I kept because I loved it. I like this one too, but I decided it would be really neat. I knew I was going to actually just reuse it, kind of upcycle it for a craft project. And so I'm just painting those brown pieces top and bottom with the mixture of those two paints, just kind of like a whitewash, a dry brush over the top. And then I'll kind of dry that off camera coming up, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a like 100 grit fine sandpaper and then just kind of sand that paint so that it just kind of doesn't look so harsh on the wood. It just kind of melts into that wood, but still protecting that dry brush appearance. Okay, and here's a little bit of sanding. I dried it with my heat tool, the paint, prior to the sanding. And I'm going to be using Fabri-Tac for my glue today, Beacon Fabri-Tac. This is the paper we started with. Did our little bit of our mixed media on it, and I'm just going to be gluing it right onto the front of this piece here, this home decor piece. The texture looks really cool already. So this is a Reneabouquet's beautiful board laser cut chipboard piece. This is called Victorian Snowflake Clock, and it's the medium size. So I'm going to be laying this down first. I'm doing a lot of layering today, so you're going to see a lot of obviously me, because I'm working on this, cutting up a lot of cardboard to help level up my layers. This is just a Prima Marketing resin frame I'm going to be laying down on top of that Victorian snowflake clock. And this is just some ephemera die cut pieces from my stash I'm going to be adding in. This is a beautiful board laser cut chipboard stackable heart ATC tag set from Reneabouquets.com, and that little timepiece was actually a silver pocket watch cabochon, also from Reneabouquets.com. And here comes the cardboard, because all those pieces I'm trying to layer it onto that frame that's really thick, and so that it doesn't fall to the middle, I'll be layering lots of cardboard to help hold my pieces up level against that frame. And like I said, you'll see me cutting up a lot of cardboard on this project. I think I went about 5 or 6 layers of cardboard deep. I keep just rechecking my position here. And the stackable heart ATCs, it comes with 2 tags and 2 small hearts. Just making sure I've got everything nice and straight. Bring you in a little closer and start gluing down some of these ephemera pieces. I'll be working with colors of black today, obviously, as you can see. A couple of different colors of blues and some whites. This is the picture I'll be working with. You'll see it a little bit more later. And that is a picture of my niece. Such a cute picture. I have been holding that picture since last winter, waiting for this winter to come about, because I really have been wanting to make a home decor piece with it. She is a subject of a lot of my projects. She just takes the best photos. I will put some links down below, a couple of links to a couple of other design team projects for Reneabouquets I did featuring her and her fiance in some of these home decor pieces. I think this is the 4th thing I've made for her, so I hope she has a lot of wall space. I've got a couple more pictures already waiting. I told her I wasn't stalking her, but I can't help it. That's just a little piece of like film strip ephemera I cut up. I thought it was kind of cute. Put a little film strip there, signifying obviously the photo. Adding a little bit more texture, bringing up the colors of the black up a little bit top. And those clock hands, I thought it was just fun that they weren't on the clock, but you know, layered up on ephemera up above the clock, but still getting to use those. These are Reneabouquet Beautiful Board Laser Cut Chipboard. They are a Quilling Flourish in the large size, and you get a set of 4. I'm just going to layer one at the top and one at the bottom later on. These are just paper that I rolled up because I wanted that little bit of texture, just a little bit different texture. A lot of people in their artwork nowadays are finding and using straws, but just because of that texture and the shape of the straws, the roundness, but you know, I don't have like straws, so I'm like, well, I can roll my own paper. So I wet it, and then I rolled it, just kind of dampened it and rolled the paper, and then as I was rolling it, I heat it with my heat tools so that it stays in that round kind of straw shape. and I just thought it gave some other great texture. And here comes just some more ephemera and metal frames and things from my stash I'm going to be adding in. And you can see off camera I added a lot more cardboard, and I'm adding still even more because I've got a lot of layers to come up and around this resin frame. I know it kind of gets boring showing you gluing cardboard together, but I like you to see the process, especially if you're a beginner or new to mixed media, you know, how you can build up your layers as you're doing art projects like these. Okay, this is beautiful board, laser cut chipboard there. It's called Grid Elements. I'm just using a little piece of it. And I chose that because remember at the beginning when we used the 3D matte gel and the stencil and the Reneabouquet micro beads, it looked like this beautiful board, laser cut chipboard Grid Elements. So that's why I kind of added that in there. And so now, you know, I've got that down at the bottom with those micro beads, that kind of grid pattern, and then up at the top, and then over to the side with the beautiful board. So it gives me like this triangular line of vision. Now this here is a beautiful board laser cut chipboard. It's a set of 7 vintage snowflakes in the large size, and I'm just using one of them from the set. I'm going to go ahead and lay down my other quilling flourish at the bottom edge here. And we're going to bring in, after this, a bunch of flowers from Reneabouquets.com. This is just a little frame from my stash I'm going to be putting in here, kind of on the photo, and it's going to be the area where I'm going to put the title of this art piece. We're going to be using flowers from Reneabouquets. The first one coming up will be pearl and rhinestone chiffon flowers in black, and we're going to be using mulberry paper flowers from the kit of white roses, gardenias, and leaves. Timeless blue set, limited edition powder blue set, and mini roses and leaves in black. And so this here is the chiffon flower with the rhinestone and pearl centers, really pretty. It'll kind of help hold up that quilling flourish there. And here comes the roses. The top is the timeless blue, to the side is the powder blue, and then of course the white and the black. And we're going to start layering these all in at the bottom, around the bottom area. And I chose these colors because, of course, you know, snow, so white and blue kind of reminds you of cold. And then the blacks, of course, the blacks kind of matching what she's wearing, the whites in the snow in the photo. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but her fingernails are actually painted in the color of those darker blue roses. So that's another reason why I chose to go with blues. I just loved how she was blowing the snow out of her hands. Just a sweet photo. I'm just kind of layering where I want my flowers here. And I'm going to be tucking in some beautiful board, beautiful bits, laser cut chipboard winter snowflakes. And beautiful bits means they're simply that the product is kind of tiny. Here's one of the snowflakes there. I'll be tucking that in my flowers here in just a minute. I'll tuck 2 at the bottom and then I'll glue 1 to the top. Here's the 3 I'm going to use. Winter snowflakes again. I love to tuck things inside my flowers. I'm going to get 1 here right at the top, just like that. This is Beautiful Words, laser cut chipboard, Let It Snow. Of course, from Reneabouquets.com. I thought it was a perfect title for this project today. This is just a sticker from my stash. It's like plastic, but I'm going to be bringing up this 3D matte gel again, and this is some Diamond Shard from Reneabouquets.com. This is a 60 grit shard. I'm going to be using these micro beads again. This is in the pearl color. And then for my stash, I'm going to be using these art stones and some white and black glitter. And we're going to use this kind of as texture around the flowers and certain elements on the project today. So what I do is kind of, I do it different sometimes. A lot of times I'll paint on the matte gel and then pour the stuff on, and then, you know, sometimes like today, very seldom, but I like to do it this way. I'm dipping my paintbrush into the matte gel and then into the product. And in some of it, once I get those art stones on, then you'll see me kind of dump the other stuff on top, the shard glitter glass and the micro beads and stuff, because it's just easier to work with that way. See, I'm just gonna take it with my fingernails here and just kind of sprinkle it on. A little bit easier than trying to put it on with a brush, because those are very tiny. Tiny, tiny micro beads, but I love them. They're fun, great texture. Adding in some of the shard glitter glass, again a 60 grit, because I'll be using some glitter glass later that is a 70 grit, which is basically just a little bit finer grit glitter glass, but both in the diamond shade, which is basically just a real pretty kind of clear whitish color. I'm trying to apply all this texture kind of in a triangular pattern. So when you're designing, it's nice when you use like items that they kind of are in a triangular pattern. So where I put some up at the top, now I've got some at the right and left sides at the bottom. So when you kind of draw the line between the products that you use, you kind of have that triangular line. And I like to kind of bring this up every now and then in case I have new crafters, to kind of help you understand design and layout. So this is a Magical Miniatures double-sided printed butterfly called Teal Fairy Dust, and what I'm doing is just painting on that matte gel, and I'm going to bring in that 70 grit here, chunky glitter glass, and pour on the top just to add a little bit more sparkle to the butterfly. And I think I'd hear that off camera, but I think that just gives it some great texture there. And so the last I'm going to do, I'm covering up my pictures and some of the elements I don't want too much spray on, and I'm coming back in with some white spray here to add a little bit more of the texture, adding a little bit more sprinkles along my project, and this is what it is all finished up. I love all that texture on this project. I love that picture. I think this is one of my favorites so far this year, and we're just into the new year. But I hope you enjoyed this project. I will have all the links down below to everything Reneabouquets, and I'll have links down below to all the product I used in this project. I'll also have links down below to my social media. Come follow me on Instagram, on Pinterest. Come follow my blog. I'll have links down below to a couple other videos I mentioned earlier. Remember to subscribe. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.